the top 5 LinkedIn marketing mistakes that business owners make. My name is Shanee Moret, and I have about a million followers on LinkedIn and over 365,000 LinkedIn newsletter subscribers.
My name is Shanka Poncelet. I own a marketing agency in San Antonio, Texas, with a focus on the healthcare industry.
Of the top 5 LinkedIn marketing mistakes we see business owners make repeatedly, the fifth one that I have on this list is the one that people underestimate the most, which is they don't have clear goals of what they're looking to get out of LinkedIn. When we start with a LinkedIn marketing strategy, we should focus on one clear top priority goal and understand what the metric is to determine whether we're being successful in that goal. For example, if someone comes to me and says, Shanae, I want to get on LinkedIn and I want to grow my podcast because in their business, their podcast is the thing that generates brand deals, clients, so on and so forth, then the only metric that should matter in that strategy is how have your podcast downloads grown? Yesterday, I was speaking to a gentleman who said, hey, I want to grow on LinkedIn. And the metric that I'm looking for is to get calls with primary practice physicians that are interested in selling their practices or with brokers that have access to a list of primary care practices that they are selling. And I was like, this sounds perfect. We have a clear metric. If you have that one clear metric, it's easier to track.
It is like sending someone who wants to buy something specific. You just tell them, go to this mall instead of saying there's this specific shop and you should go there. And that's really a big, big problem. You would think it is the most natural thing in the world to make sure you guide your energy to something very focused, but it's not the case. And that's where it starts. I agree 100%.
What is your offer? And it better be a good one. And what is the metric to track that offer? How do you close? Some people close on calls, webinars, in person. What's the metric that is indicating that people are taking action on that offer? Number 4 is not leveraging the data that they already have at their disposal to position themselves and to differentiate themselves on LinkedIn. What does this mean? If you have clients, you have data. What is the offer that most of your top 20% clients are opting in for? Ask yourself, not just based on your feelings, but actually looking at the data, what is the offer that most people that pay you the most with the least resistance buy from you? What does the data say? Not how you feel. Number 2, why did they do it? Because that first problem of why they did it is usually what you should market and how you should position yourself on LinkedIn. And this is something that 99% of the clients that I start working with, this is the first thing we do. Because when you start marketing yourself to attract people with that same problem, it's so much easier for them to take action on that offer.
If you don't analyze the data, then you don't understand who is your tribe, who is your community. And again, if you don't do that in the digital realm, there's like this complete disconnect, right? You don't have the language that you need to speak to your audience.
Number 3, they don't create content with their top clients in mind. And this is very important. Not only do you have data based on how you should position yourself on LinkedIn in terms of how do I position myself to attract the type of people that I want to attract that are going to be the most engaged and interested in the offer that sells the easiest with the least resistance within my business. But we also have to look at the data that you have maybe from meeting notes, conversations with clients. What questions are your top 20% clients asking? One of the things that we teach our clients is how to audit their meeting AI note taker, whether it's Fireflies or whatever it is, to implement a system where they're understanding not just based on their feelings, but actually looking at the data and saying, what are the questions that my top clients are asking? And to not judge the question. Because what we see a lot is they're looking at the data, they're looking at 20 questions that their top clients have recently asked them. And they're saying, but that's a stupid question, or that question's too simple. I don't want to answer that in my content. They're judging. Take your emotions and your judgment out of it and follow the data. It may be a stupid question or a very simple question to you, but your top 20% client asked that question. How could you undermine that? How could you say that it's not valuable when you have that data right in front of you? Then what we do is we implement a system where those type of questions are answered to attract more people that have the same questions. And those people are more likely to want to take action on the offer, just like your top 20% clients. A lot of data is just being ignored.
If you think about your favorite content creators, they always have a recurring pattern in what they say. And you need to find out what is that for your audience. That is something that a lot of experts have as a problem. And if you listen to those, in your opinion, simple questions and you make an effort to also respond, you will see that you have a great response on your profiles.
Number two, they don't track what is working best. Once they start creating the content consistently and posting, let's say that you get to 30 days of consistent content posting, and you will with me at your side. They don't track what is working best to drive the main metric. For example, if the main metric is podcast downloads, look at the data of your content and the data of the podcast downloads and start analyzing what's connected. You could audit out of the 30 days, what are the top 3 to 5 days that we had the most podcast downloads? What did we post on that day? Did we post more? Did we post more video on that day? What type of content mediums? What topics did we do that day? Did we do lives that day? And it doesn't have to be podcast downloads. It could be calls. Oh, on 4 days this month, I got 3 consultations on each of those days. What did I do different on those days? What type of content did I post? What topics did I talk about in that content? And those type of things need to be audited, or everything that you're doing just continues to be a guessing game. You're doing it with no direction whatsoever based on feeling.
This is a topic that drives me nuts because everybody always wants to know what works, but very few people are willing to do the work to find out what works. And sometimes it is a technical thing to overcome, but that's why we are here to guide you through that. But more often than that, it is just not understanding how vital that is. If your people put all that effort into stuff they're doing and they don't take a moment to see what brought me the result that I wanted it, they don't coach their staff to ask the right questions. It's something that I will never understand, but it's happening all the time. And I can guarantee you that if you open yourself up to that idea, you're going to be so much happier because your actions will yield higher results. And that's what, at the end of the day, makes you happy about all the energy you invest into your online presence.
And this is why it's time to become consistent, because if we don't have that data, we can't make data driven decisions. Then we're just guessing. And a lot of the times, what we think is going to attract our top prospects is actually not what the data says does. People are still blown away sometimes by, oh my gosh, Shanee, I got this really great client and they saw me on a post that had nothing to do with my business. Yes, this is the beauty of human nature. And this is the ultimate secret sauce when it comes to personal branding. You don't follow Gary Vee for his business stuff. You're attracted to him because there's so much of who he is. Maybe because you relate to him because he's an immigrant. Maybe because you like the cars, maybe the garage sales, the wine. There's so many facets to who he is that he allows people to be able to connect with him even more than just being a business person. And sometimes that emotional stickiness is what a lot of people just are lacking in their brand, period. That's what we help with. The last one we're going to share today, which is number one, not leveraging the high quality traffic and community on LinkedIn to build your private email list. There are business owners that come to me that have been in business for 10 plus years. And I'm like, do you have an email list? It hurts me to ask the question at this point because 99.9% of the time they look at me and they're like, no. If you took a year of consistent posting on LinkedIn, if you were able to just build an email list of 3 to 5,000 people, that means that for the rest of your life, potentially, if you continue to send quality content, you could have sales at the push of a button. But how do you generate that list? You have to bring traffic to something that is actually valuable to that person. How do I grow my list? You create something they want. I put it in my emails all the time, but for things that I actually find valuable. And then there's strategy when it comes to that. And there's ways to do it where you don't need a whole website. I'm tired of these people, these gurus. They're like, you need a massive website. You need all the fancy stuff. I have a client that she spent all this money on this fancy website, right? It has her professional photos. She looks amazing, blah, blah, blah. I replaced that with a Google form. Do you know which one's selling more? The ugly Google form is killing the pretty website, and it's not even close. Sometimes simple scales, fancy fails. All right. And we go back to basics because that is what she wants. She wants to get clients, she wants to grow her mastermind, and it's working.
I've been in the business of selling websites for a long time, but I'm also a converted lover of landing pages or simple forms because what people really don't understand is that a website it has a place in the ecosystem. But it essentially you have someone who is interested in what you do and then you overwhelm them with that large websites, all the bells and whistles, all the blogs and all of this and that, and before they can make any targeted decision, their attention span is gone. They've gotten another email, a phone call, and they have taken no action. So, for lead collection and also for sales, I can guarantee you that if you have a focused something, whether that is a landing page or in the case that Shanae mentioned, a simple Google form that is included in your free Gmail account, by the
Great.
way, that can make you thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, actually. And it's just all about understanding what is the psychology behind someone wanting to find a solution for their problem. What is that mindset versus someone who wants to look at a large website?
If you like this video, if you thought it was valuable, share it with a friend who may want to grow their business or to get sales on LinkedIn or even learn how to use LinkedIn for their business.